G'day, I'm David G. Sheshnag Mandia. What on earth is Kundalini? In 1999, I lived on a farm with 11 horses. That was just me and the horses. And people came and rode the horses and went home. Had a lot of space, a lot of time to think. It was an hour from town, so when I drove to work every second week, I had a lot of time to think on the road. The main thing at that point was trying to understand what had happened to me and how I experienced the bliss relating to the experience of realization of God. In that, as I was trying to understand things, I saw life from a wider lens. And it wasn't just me in the middle anymore. It was as if the subjective perspective had disintegrated. And now I was in this objective view, watching myself function. Of course, I'm still looking out of my body. It's not like I'm sitting up there and looking down on me, watching me. But in my mind I am. During that period, I realized that what I was thinking while I was in those heightened states were actually happening as real life events in my life. It was like I was the creator of my own reality through my thoughts. And I didn't know anything about this. And I hadn't heard of anything to do with your thoughts manifesting. All I heard was we're born in the image of the Creator. So I was hell-bent on researching and understanding why events were manifesting in my life relative to what I was thinking. And I was wondering whether they were happening because I was thinking them, or I was thinking them prior to them happening. Because there is an experience documented called precognition. I believe some things were created from my thoughts. So then I thought, how does a thought go into the world and then come back as a physical experience? I came to realize that there's an etheric body that encapsulates me. That etheric body is tied into my physical body through a subtle connection. The subtle connection my soul comes through is called in Sanskrit the Linga Sharira, the subtle body. That subtle body ties in through types of prana, different densities. The subtle prana being sukshma prana, the denser prana being stula prana. As it comes into the denser forms, then it ties into the body via the spine, which is closely tied into the nervous system and the endocrine system. It's also tied into the body through something called the prana vayus. There's a video on this channel about the prana vayus. Not many people mention them, but I think they're essential, especially in regards to the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. So, how do thoughts come through that subtle body, tie into my physical body, and then go out back through the subtle body to manifest as real life experiences? That was my thought. I realized at the time that it must happen through the DNA. And that's like not a must, like that. There's no other option, because at the core of our cellular genetic makeup is our genes. And our genes are the DNA which everything comes from. At the start of my life, I was one set of chromosomes. one DNA strand. You know, sperm from a dad, over from a mum, becomes, what is it, 46 chromosomes, 23 from each of them, makes up one gene. So then that doubles and goes through the process of making me. It's amazing. But that's the core element of my being. So I realised that that core element is actually a transmitter and receiver of the most subtle frequency ever. Imperceivable to the human framework, but a reality. It's been proven under electron microscopes that there's a electromagnetic frequency that functions through the DNA, and it behaves in certain ways. So there you go. I'm of a belief that at the core of my being is the DNA. The DNA is a transmitter and receiver. Thoughts can come in through the etheric body into my physical body, interact with my DNA, go back out after they've gone through that structure, through the thought process, through the embodiment experience, go back out into the universe. Maybe they go to the subtle dimensions of the causal body, through the causal body, and then manifest as real life experiences. To actually make them happen at a heightened rate, there are some key components. Being in a blissful state, high frequency, helps. Being in a unified awareness where your perception at that moment is not subjective and that perception is everything, then that helps as well. Share the world, sheshnag.com. What on earth is Kundalini? Om Devaji, sharing the knowledge. Om Namah Shivaya, Hara Hara Mahadev.